Yinxing, Philippine name Marce, another dangerous typhoon threat. Well, the late season train of storms is continuing, and this is the latest one. It's Tropical Storm Yinxing, currently nearly a typhoon actually, at 14.3 north, 130.3 degrees east, moving northwestwards towards the Philippines right now. Well, as of 9 p.m. local time on November 4th, here it is, moving northwest at 11 miles per hour, 8 kilometers per hour, pressure 982 millibars, winds 70 miles per hour or 110 kilometers per hour. Well, it is strengthening. It is likely to become a typhoon and could get to Category 2 status as it approaches the Philippines and will slow down on its final approach to northern Luzon. Here's its current position displayed on the map, with its wind field extending out up to 90 nautical miles in the northeastern quadrant, and it is continuing to head. It will just miss Catanduanes and then move off towards the northwest. It is currently 565 kilometers from Samar, 634 from Catanduanes, 893 from Palanan, 1000 from Manila, and 1306 from Taiwan. There are no warnings in effect at this time, but they are mentioning the PAGASA that we're likely to see signals start to be issued in the near future. And I expect that will happen within the next 24 hours, I'm pretty sure. So the storm will slowly increase in size as well, especially on its northern side as it moves closer to the Philippines. So the primary hazard when it does arrive will be damaging winds, because we are expecting winds of up to 160 kilometers per hour possibly for northern Luzon later this week, with heavy rainfall also likely to cause flooding issues in the wider area. We know there are issues caused by other typhoons not long ago, and as mentioned, warnings likely to be issued in the next 24 hours. So let's take a look at the projected path of the storm right now, and it will move northwesterly, quite decidedly so, and it will slow down in the middle of the week and really increase that northern wind field as it interacts with frontal systems, and then continue westwards, just scraping the northern tip of Luzon through the Babuyan Islands by the looks of things, and then on through the South China Sea. It will eventually turn southwesterly by the looks of things as it starts to blow itself out over the weekend. So currently 70 mile per hour winds is what we're indicating right now. JTWC a little lower at 65, JMA at 60, PAGASA somewhere in between. So, SSEC ADT is currently going with 85 miles per hour, though NOAA is still at 65. I'm not sure what's prompting that. Perhaps it might be a misplaced fix. But certainly the premise is there that it is likely to become a typhoon shortly, and satellite imagery is showing possibly the development of an eye. Well, there's the PAGASA cone, and it takes the storm very close to land as well. Pretty much what that GFS model was saying, just a little bit further south, and possibly slower through there as well, actually. It's still in the area, just leaving the PAR by Saturday afternoon. Here's the GFS model then, its actual output, and you can see those winds really getting enhanced to the northwestern side, so Taiwan will see some strong winds there as well. The core of the storm just about staying offshore the mainland of the Philippines if this model run is to be believed. Of course, there is a discrepancy in the cone and it could strike further south, but certainly we're getting some strong winds there, and those yellows, that's the typhoon force winds. Oh yes, that's a landfall actually on the northern part of Luzon as a Category 2 if that forecast happens to be correct. There it is, dipping towards the south towards the end of that run. So again, this is the next 7-day period. It's quite slow once it gets close to Luzon, and that will obviously be a real concern for rainfall expectations, and it could get pretty high over the northwestern part of Luzon, the Cagayan Valley, but in the interim it will be moving northwesterly, then it will turn west, and you can see those red areas there, worse on the northern side, but certainly getting some decent colors on that south side as well once it moves through over those mountains in the western part of Luzon as well. We'll be looking at some really high rainfall estimates, I'm pretty sure, but the real question is just how strong will the storm get, and certainly always the potential that it could get stronger than the forecast. So this is the rainfall totals, and you can see some pinks and purples starting to appear there. Those denote some significant rainfall estimates, even higher once it moves over the South China Sea and stalls again. But looking at land areas, we're talking maybe 16 inches. That's 400 millimeters there. It is over a relatively small area, and large parts of the rest of the Philippines will be getting some various amounts of rainfall, getting up towards 3 or 4 inches, maybe 100 millimeters. But some of those totals out at sea getting up towards 800 millimeters of rain. Well, sea surface temperatures still aren't going to be a concern. It's still at least 27 degrees Celsius, probably more because these numbers read low. I would say it's probably closer to 29 or 30 degrees at the moment, and they'll drop off a little bit, especially once the storm enters the South China Sea. But if it does dip back towards the south again, of course, they'll pick up a little bit more. The long-term future of this storm remains to be seen, although most model ensembles have it completely dissipating in the South China Sea away from any land areas. Of course, one or two ensembles still have it not taking that track at all and possibly still staying out further east, but we'll let that go by just for now. This is the latest satellite imagery, and you can see there, could that be an eye on the satellite? Well, we looked at microwave as well earlier, and it does look like an eye wall is developing, so I would be expecting that to be the eye, really starting to appear on that enhanced infrared. You can just about see it here as well on the unenhanced geo color, but really looking quite impressive, although rather small. It's got a big band off towards its northwest there. That'll be producing a large amount of rain there as well, and one or two little thunderstorms there moving along the east coast of Luzon, not particularly associated with the soon-to-be typhoon yet, but eventually those rainfall totals will be picking up. You can take a look at the Force 13 website for a lot of these satellite products or something similar to these, force13.com/satellite, as we look at some more imagery here. Certainly a very moist moisture water vapor environment there. Here's another view of that WV imagery, really showing that band onto its northwest is really going to be helping protect the storm from any serious conditions towards the north that might prevent it from strengthening. So I think this is on its way to becoming a decent typhoon here. We should be expecting a Category 2 peak. That's what the JWC are also forecasting, but I wouldn't be surprised if it managed to notch up another category on that forecast as it heads towards the Philippines during the course of this week.